Hello, everyone. This is a lecture in chapter 26. And hi there. We did the first part of this chapter during the Zoom hang. So if you missed that, you can go back into Canvas, and I posted the link to that Zoom hang on, I guess that was Monday of last week. We went through the first section of this chapter. So today we're going to start with, this particular lecture is going to start with the chord structures category. And then I'll shoot one more for the last section. Okie dokie, so let's just get right into it. This is odd. I'm doing this lecture as a video lecture is very different. I'm so used to being in the classroom with you folks and the piano and being able to look stuff up. And so anyway, we'll do our best. Extended harmony, we talked about this before. And in our text, all we've talked about is using the ninth. But you can see that extensions, they've given an example here. An A13. Now, in classical music, they don't get into jazz harmony as far as voicings, shell voicings and stuff like that. They're just explaining what a 13th is, which is the process of stacking thirds up: root, third, fifth, seventh, ninth, 11th, 13th. So for their definition, it's got everything in there, ninth and 11ths. In jazz, we tend to leave out 11ths a lot. And a basic shell voicing could have just root, third, 7th, and 13th. That wouldn't be the best voicing here because it'd be a big gap from this G up to this F sharp. Anyway, root, third, fifth, 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. They do give us an example of some extended harmony, and so let's check it out. Oops, I better push play first.
Example 26:13.
Wow, I like that. Ravel. Ravel is clumped in with Debussy as a French impressionist, late 19th century, early 20th century composer. So, of course, you're going to read through this stuff. Polyharmony. Polyharmony here, they're going to lump it in as well with polytonality and bitonality. The idea is, in all of those, is to have multiple chords or keys occurring simultaneously. So with the idea of a polychord, you can see it's written here. Now notice as a slash, it's a horizontal line. We use slash notation in lead sheet symbols to show chord and bass note. But in this case, use a horizontal line if you're going to write a polychord chord call. So E flat major over D minor. I'm sure that's just going to be lovely. Oh yeah. E flat major over D minor. Here's a D major over D minor. They also, I don't know if they introduced that here, but that's also called a split third chord if you've got a major third and a minor third in the same chord. Just lovely. You got to explore all the angles. That's what this is all about. Somebody had to do it. So that's polychord. And here's a a short passage that involves polychords. I'll just hack through a little of it. Isn't that nice? That's actually pretty doable there. And everyone loves F sharp over C. Oh yeah. There you go. Polychord passage. Here's some polychordal stuff happening in this one. Again, I think I mentioned it before. I can't believe how many musical excerpts there are through this entire book until you get to the really difficult ones to read, and then they don't give it to you. But I have looked up a few of them. So as we get through here. So this is an idea of a bitonality, like literally different key signatures on different staves. This one has 4 sharps. This one has no sharps, no flats. So while this left hand is going oops. So literally multiple keys happening simultaneously. That's a Bartók piece. Charles Ives is famous for his work in polytonality, bitonality. And yeah, it's crazy, and it's supposed to sound crazy. That's the whole idea. It's supposed to sound disjointed and, and disconnected and odd and challenging. And that's part of the process of writing new art, creating new art. Okay, chord scale connections, they go through here talking about the major pentatonic and giving you 5 examples of how just the 5 tones of the major pentatonic can be used in a number of different ways. And in your assignment that you're working on right now, you're writing 5 melodies based on a single pentatonic scale, trying to draw the ear into different tonal centers. So this uses the same F major pentatonic, but to create 5 different sonorities. And it's pretty interesting. So first we'll, good old major 6/9 chord, root 5th, 3rd, 6th, 9th. That's number 1 there. Number 2 has a lot of stacked fifths. So you hear a lot of 5th sonorities in there. Number 3 has quartal harmony, a lot of 4ths. So you hear more 4ths. Number 4 is going to sound kind of like a G suspended chord, G7 sus, or a G9. Number 5 has a lot of tone clusters. A little foreshadowing into some concepts later in the chapter too. Quintal harmony is using the 5ths here. Quartal harmony using the 4ths, and then tone clusters. Anytime you're stacking up a bunch of seconds together, which is secundal harmony, by the way, using seconds. We'll get to that a little later. And here is a Debussy prelude based on a basic major pentatonic scale. Let's listen to this.
Example 26:20.
Pretty cool. So a lot of different sonorities can come out of just a simple set of 5 notes, like a major pentatonic scale. Okay, here we are getting into the quartal and secundal harmony. So quartal and quintal harmony, some textbooks will put them under the same category. And sometimes this book does, and sometimes it doesn't. But the idea, of course, the reason the quartal and quintal can be put together is because one is the inversion of the other, right? A perfect fourth inverted is a perfect fifth. Here's a Hindemith flute sonata, which uses a lot of fourths, some seconds. But again, the primary textures in here are fourths and fifths. Now, this is one that I've looked up and I've got ready to go here on a YouTube video. So let's check it out. Kind of want to just let that play. It's beautiful, isn't it? So, what's beautiful about it? Obviously the gestures, the motion of the melody has contours that are effective, and the harmonies are effective. There's no key center. Things are shifting all over the place, and that's something to think about as we move more into atonal music. These non-tonal approaches is that other elements of composition, other elements of performance become more important than tonality. Now, how about that? We're in a class where the textbook is called tonal harmony, but we got to look at the non-tonal stuff as well. So the idea of melodic contour, density of notes, dynamics, rhythmic development, rhythmic motivic development, melodic motivic development, all those things are still present even if you don't have tonality as an expressive element. So all those things become expressive elements and become even more important. Pretty cool. I found this one too. This is pretty cool. So this is an example of secundal harmony. This is using lots of seconds. You can see the seconds clustered all around throughout the piece as a texture. Think of these as textures. And I think I've got this pulled up. Yeah, here we go. Hopefully it's not going to start too fast. Starting at measure 13 here. You get the idea. So, the use of seconds. Secundal harmony. And again, it's a texture. We see seconds in tonal music as the inversion of the seventh. So whenever you have the quartal seventh and the root right next to each other, you get a second. Well, here, these aren't seventh chords that are resolving. This isn't harmonic progression. This is the use of seconds as a texture. Tone clusters is when as they put, 3 or more adjacent pitches together. So when you're clustering things together, if you only have 2 notes, then it's a secundal harmony. It's a second. But once you put multiple notes together, whether they are in a diatonic scale, like 2 whole steps or a whole step and a half step, or a cluster of all half steps, we use the term tone cluster for that. In this case, look at this piece. That means you play every single note usually use the whole arm, like a whole forearm, all the way from your elbow to your fingertips to play all these notes. Isn't that nice? Again, somebody's got to do it. All right, moving on. Parallelism. The term that we use when we're moving things intentionally in parallel motion is planing. Planing is when you have a particular voicing and you slide things all together in parallel motion. That's a more traditional analysis. Here's a more contemporary piece. Notice this. Here's a voicing and then everything is moving in parallel motion. So we have 2 different types of planing. I like to use the terms diatonic and chromatic. They use the term diatonic planing, but instead of chromatic, they say strict or real planing. And it's a very good term for it. When you do something with strict planing, real planing, chromatic planing, that means that you take a voicing. Let's go to piano chem. I think I got piano chem setting here. Yeah. You take a voicing. Let's go with a super simple one. How about, well, here, C major. Now, if I take that exact voicing and move it, that's chromatic planing, strict planing. I'm taking that exact shape, whole steps, half steps, major thirds, minor thirds, whatever it is, and I'm moving exactly that. That's strict planing, chromatic planing. But if I create a voicing like this, and I take this shape and move it around over a scale, now I'm doing diatonic planing. That means that as I slide through the scale, the voicing itself is altering. It's changing with the contour of the scale. Sometimes it's a whole step. Sometimes it's a half step. Sometimes it's a major third. Sometimes it's a minor third. Like the classic Miles Davis "So What" voicings. It's a great voicing, by the way. Perfect fourth, perfect fourth, then a major third on top. That's an example of diatonic planing. I get myself into that voicing, and then I just slide that voicing around on the scale. It's a good example of modal music as well, using the scale as a source versus harmonic progression. Okay, let's listen to this Debussy.